everyone, I'm Penny Shults, your Orion Township Clerk. On November 4th, 2014, voters will be asked to consider a proposed additional 0.60 fire capital and equipment millage for a period of 5 years, beginning December 2014 and expiring December 2018, to provide fire protection services for Orion Township and the village of Lake Orion, but limited to the capital and equipment expenditures of the Orion Township Fire Department. It's our goal to provide clear and concise information to the voters regarding this important fire millage proposal. Joining me for a roundtable discussion regarding this millage proposal is Orion Sheriff Substation Commander Lieutenant Dan Toth and Orion Township Fire Chief Robert Smith. Welcome, gentlemen. We're so glad that you could be here in the studio today.
Well, thank you, Penny, for asking us.
Thanks, Penny.
I wanted to find out a bit about both of you, so we'll start with Lieutenant Dan Toth. Can you tell us your years of experience with Orion Township?
Well, I have 30 years experience in law enforcement. I started my career in Washington, D.C., and I actually worked in Orion Township as a deputy, patrol deputy in the early 90s. And it's been a pleasure to come back. I've been back as a lieutenant and a station commander since 2012.
We're glad to have you with the township. You have a lot of experience.
Absolutely. I've worked a variety of different positions in townships, special units throughout the county. So that's what we bring. We both bring a lot of experience to the table, and I think it's especially cool that we've seen the township grow. You know, we've seen it in the the 80s and the 90s, and it's just been a pleasure to prepare it for the next generation. That's really what we're doing. We're preparing it for the next generation.
Thank you, sir. And Bob Smith, can you tell us how your years of service with the township began in the fire department?
Penny, I started in 1986 as a paid-on-call firefighter. At that time, we had Chief Jeff Key was the only full-time person. I was very excited in 1990 to be selected as the first other full-time person with the fire department. I was selected as a fire inspector. So I've grown with the fire department. I've seen what it was like in the early or late 80s and up till today. And I've seen a vast growth in the population. We're no longer a bedroom community here in Orion Township. We're a growing community, and it's a good thing, what we've seen. But with that, the fire department needs to grow too, and that's why we're here.
Yes, and the Board of Trustees supported putting on this November ballot this .60 millage. How will that affect the department when that proposal is approved?
It'll affect us greatly, Penny. Right now, I have firefighters in turnout gear that's over 13 years old. National Fire Protection Association says anything over 10 years old, you shall not use it. It should be retired, shall be retired, is the exact verbiage that they use. And right now, I don't have the funds to be able to put the new gear on these guys. So that's, when this passes, that is my first goal, to start looking for turnout gear for my people, because it doesn't matter if you're in law enforcement, if you're in fire services or wherever, we're asked to go out on every unknown situation. And if we can't equip our people with the best equipment to either fight crime or fight fires, why, it's just it's not a safe situation, and it's a worrisome situation. And these people are given back to their community, and we should be able to give them the best in equipment.
In agreement. Yeah. And can you tell the viewers what turnout gear is?
Turnout gear is the equipment the clothing that they wear to go into a hostile environment. A lot of people think it's just fires and stuff like that. We put this equipment on when we're out on a personal injury accident out on the road. This actually protects the guys if somebody inadvertently hits them as they go by and stuff like that, or while they're trying to get somebody out of a vehicle, it protects them. If we have to send them into a hostile environment in a factory where we have a chemical spill in this will afford them layer of protection to go in. Say somebody is passed out from fumes and stuff like this, the equipment will protect them. So it's a layer of protective clothing that they wear to go into any type of hostile environment. It doesn't have to be just a fire.
And how do we compare in Orion Township to surrounding communities? For example, Independence Township.
We're lacking, you know, and I don't want to say that we're the worst. There's probably some other departments further north than that have struggled too. We all struggle, all the communities struggle, but along with struggling, again, the first line of defense to any situation is making sure our people can get in there and they're protected too. It's not going to do any good if we send somebody in and our people become overcome by fumes or the smoke or whatever. Now that it's not an effective rescue, and we've added to it. But any community should, you know, think about their people first. And you know, some of the bells and whistles that people ask for, fancy equipment and stuff like that, you know, maybe it's a little bit over the top. We're not asking for anything over the top. We're asking for needs. These are requirements, and like Lieutenant Toth, he has to make these decisions. I make these decisions when I send my people in. I need to know that they're going to come out safely. That's number one priority. And along with that, make sure that the people or the situation that they're going in there gets mitigated as quick as possible.
And how important is it that the police department and the fire department work together, Lieutenant Toth?
It's critical, Penny. I mean, there's so many things that have changed in the last 30 years, the hazards that we deal with. And we talk about all hazards response. We have industry standards, and we want to ensure that you know, everyone in public safety, you know, is up to that point when the citizens, you know, when they press that button, you know, the 911 or the 858-4911, their expectations are that the personnel, we have the best trained personnel, the appropriate equipment, and staff that's going to respond. And I think we just can't say enough about how much it's grown. There's 35,000 residents in our township now, and it's just critical that we maintain that minimal acceptable level of equipment and training and personnel. And those are the expectations that the residents, and we're taking care of that. And these are all tools that we need to accomplish all the different hazards. You know, every day is a new adventure in public safety. We just never know. I mean, everyone sees the headlines on the news.
Yes.
And we hope that a lot of these issues, public safety issues that we see in the news, don't occur in our township, but hope is not a plan. And we constantly are discussing you know, emergency preparedness and what we need, and really that's the level, the preparedness and the capabilities that the police and fire and EMS bring to the table. That's critical. That's the key, is our capabilities and how we can appropriately respond to whatever hazard, whatever 911 call comes in.
And as a leader in the community, we need to support that, because you must be prepared. It's not something that you go into unprepared. My concern, Chief, is that we have equipment that is so outdated that the industry standards are telling us that we should not use it, we shall not use it.
Correct.
What is your plan to replace that equipment when this millage proposal is passed?
Again, my plan is, number one, to get my people protected as soon as possible. And then I've come up with a 5-year plan where the extrication equipment we use for vehicles and stuff like that, that's going to be next on our list to get replaced. Right now, the equipment we carry is over 25 years old. It was designed for the vehicles in the 1980s and that. The industry has looked at safety of the individuals, and by that what I'm saying is that they build a lot of their vehicles with what they call a high-strength steel now. It's lightweight. We can afford to, for fuel economy, for protection of the people in the vehicle and everything, but it's caused a great hindrance to us. Our equipment doesn't cut that steel anymore. It doesn't pull that steel apart. So that's extra time out on the scene. I'm sure a lot of people have heard about the golden hour when somebody's been injured traumatically in that. We have an hour to get them into the hospital and to get treatment started, and that greatly increases their chances of survival. If I have equipment out there that's taken me 20 to 30 minutes to get somebody out of a vehicle where it should take me 10 minutes at the most because of the type of equipment or steel that they're using in the vehicles nowadays, like that's just lessening the chances that this person is going to be able to come out, without a problem in the future and stuff like that. So that's the second thing. I have vehicles that are 1996 vehicles that need to be replaced right away. Some of them are utility vehicles, some of them are fire engines. I was telling somebody just the other day, my budget this year is reaching $50,000 for repairs to my fire engines, because every time they're going out now, they come back, I have to get them fixed. I had to buy tires for all of the 1996 vehicles this year. Every 1996 fire truck has 6 batteries in it. I had to replace batteries. That's just common sense for anybody that drives a car nowadays. They know that you got to replace your batteries every couple of years. You got to replace your tires and stuff like that. So these are things I've really had to take on this year. That it's getting to the point it's cost prohibitive to keep maintaining them. We need to replace them.
And Chief, I don't know many people in a normal setting that are driving a 1996 vehicle, let alone asking our fire department to drive a vehicle that old. And I think that it's critical that the voters understand that this is a need. It's not something that we're asking for to, like you pointed out before, to add. We need to replace. We need to bring our standard up to what is required. And I also want to say that we have a fire station that's being built, and everyone is aware of that. That's a replacement fire station.
Correct.
Can you talk a little bit about that?
Okay, we have a station. We had a station over on Silver Bell in 24 that was built in 1986, and it became we outgrew it very quickly. We outgrew it within the first 5-6 years after we had it. The biggest thing that it was lacking is it doesn't have facilities for women. It doesn't have bathroom showers for women. It doesn't have a separate sleeping facility for women. In fact, it doesn't even have sleeping facilities at all. And as many know, starting the 1st of January, we're going to start manning our people, or our stations 24/7. So I had to give them sleeping quarters now. So this was a process to either update that station or rebuild it or whatever. And where it was located, it was landlocked. Previous administration, we come up with some creative ideas and stuff like that. But bottom line is we ended up rebuilding, and we're rebuilding over on Giddings Road. This is a station that's got future growth to it.
Yes. It's
going to take us a long time to even get to the max on it and stuff like that. It now has women's facilities. It has two bunk rooms for the male and female, and I do have a female over in that area, so I have to provide for. It's just right. It's not something that you want to begrudge anybody. I don't care, male or female. You know, if they're willing to give their time and effort, why, we need to provide them with the best. So that's what we're doing, and hopefully by the end of this month or sometime in November, we're going to be moving into it. I know voters are confused about that. Why is that on the ballot if we went ahead? You know, but it had to be done. It was agreed upon. It was an order that came down. They gave us they passed the station on to the developer, and they gave us till the end of this year to get out, or we're going to be paying rent on it. So we had to move on it.
Yes.
This millage, whether it goes through or not, and I'm hoping it does, but I don't want it to hinge on that. That station's got to be built anyway.
That's exactly right.
So,
and we did something similar at the township level when we made some upgrades to the sheriff substation. Can you talk a little bit about how those changes to the substation made that department more effective for the residents?
Penny, I think that a lot of times, even in our own homes and our own budgets, we look at you know, what we would like, and then what's essential, or what's really we have to do first. And I know the improvements that we made to the substation at the Township Hall were just critical and essential to conducting interviews. It brought us up to compliance with the laws. you know, the video recording the interviews and different things like that. And a lot of times I think people, we tend to think of it's always going to be there. You know, people don't spend a lot of time thinking about when they call 911, but if you look at it, you know, from the standpoint, it's almost like an electrical switch, or when you turn your water on, you just expect it
That's right.
to flow. But all these issues that we discussed, you know, responding to this type of situation or that type of situation, with the amount of traffic and the new homes on the horizon, and the new and the businesses, and all these factors, you know, that we constantly, you know, deal with. You know, it's just critical, and that's what I think was important with the millage here, is that these really are essential. These are very basic equipment items, and they're very essential. I think we're probably about at least 90% of our calls, you know, we're going on together.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
the police and fire, it's like 90% of the calls, and you know, now that we're on the same radio system, we hear what calls, you know, each of us is taking, and we just rely on them. I mean, every minute counts, and there really can't be a hiccup
Right.
with this. I mean, the expectations of the residents is that this is an essential, is a basic essential services, public safety, and they've just come to rely on it. There can't be a hiccup. You can't wake up in the morning and say, you know what, it looks like we have a flat tire on the truck, or the equipment, you know, is leaking, or it just has to be flawless. We have to have that kind of response, because a lot of these situations are life or death.
And they are, for the person that needs that assistance, they're not concerned with a tire needing replaced or turnout gear. They just want to know that you're going to be there for them.
Exactly.
I've looked at the budget, and the Board of Trustees also just really was very careful in looking at the budget and managing what we have, the resources of the community. And it was with careful consideration that we determined that this had to go out to the voters. And I'm very thankful to have both of you here today to support this millage, to talk about it, to give the community information, so that when they go to the polls on Election Day, on Tuesday, November 4th, they are able to make an informed decision. Do you have some closing comments, Chief, that you would like to talk about?
What I'd like to point out real quickly, Penny, in closing, is I've heard this a lot. It's worked great for the last 25 years. Why do we have to have improvements? Why do we have to staff our stations and stuff like that, stuff that we've been moving towards and everything? Well, I can say this for a fact. When I started in 1986 as a paid-on-call, we ran, as a department, maybe 3 to 4 calls a week. The guys were excited, you know, they got to go out and they got to do something. But we're running 5.6 calls a day now.
Incredible.
A day. And this is not, again, for anybody that thinks that we're trying to add pudding or fluff to what we're doing here, it's not.
Essential.
It's essential need. When you run that many calls a day, we're looking at 25, 24, 50 this year alone, and you know, that's constant going, and these vehicles cannot. That's the other problem I'm having with them, is they're being used so much more now and everything. So I just hope I hope people understand that I'm not asking for the moon here. I'm asking for essential needs, and to protect the township the way it should be.
Thank you, sir. And Lieutenant Toth, closing comments for you.
Yes, just to add to that, these are essential items and equipment, and I think that everyone realizes when they're sitting out there on Baldwin, Joslin, and M24 how busy the township is, and these are essential items, or we wouldn't be sitting here right now.
I'm amazed how many times throughout the day I hear sirens. And then I'm always relieved when I hear the sirens stop, because I know they got to the person that had the great need, and I want to be there for them, to support them. And I'm very thankful to have both of you here today to talk about what's so important to our community.
Well, we thank you for asking us to be here, to be able to let the public know where we stand. So
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thanks, Penny.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us. We're glad that you were able to hear this information. If you need additional information, please go to the Orion Township website or contact Chief Bob Smith in the fire department. Thank you.